So we'll work for a little while longer. Soon I want to stop what I'm currently doing with the species automodding. Oh, sorry, I was trying to pause it. Just finished surveying something. It's fine. It looks like the science ship has another goal ready. Have you gotten your Habitable Worlds Survey thing yet? That event?
No, I don't think so.
I would definitely maybe prioritize trying to survey habitable worlds, more of them, because that is what's required to trigger it.
How many do I have to survey?
Hold on. I'm trying to steer a science ship away from asteroids in case there are shitoids in disguise. How many do you have to survey?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just trigger. I think it's not a number. I think it's you have to survey one of each type. Like one tundra, one alpine, that kind of thing. Or some, at least one wet, dry, and one cold for sure.
Yeah. I could have sworn there was an arid somewhere near me that I could survey.
You haven't.
I'm not seeing it.
Have you not surveyed any dry worlds yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I would definitely do that because that's probably part of what's once you have, I'm not sure, it says one of each type, but it was never clear if type meant like wet, dry, cold, or it meant like every subtype. It's probably wet, dry, cold. So you'll probably get the vent soon after you survey the arid world.
I swear I saw one, but I'm not seeing it. Let me look at the... Nope, it's not in the expansion. Wait. Would it? No.
No, it would be an expansion planner as long as you didn't have it to is colonizable and not surveyed.
Yeah, I don't see any. Maybe I thought Arctic was arid. Maybe I misread that.
Hold on, let me screen share. All right, we got the expansion planner open.
Yep.
Nope. Just Alpine worlds. Yeah. Yeah, you haven't found any arid yet. That's why you haven't gotten the thing.
Oh, wait. Here it is. There's an FDL. There's a pre-FDL civilization on it.
Ah.
That's where it went. That's why it disappeared. Okay. So that should count then, right?
Yep. You survey Nimbus.
Yeah, I surveyed this Alpine world. So that should be one of each type.
Maybe it doesn't count if there's pre-FDLs, or maybe it has to be. Maybe there's a mean time to happen, so you might just be it hasn't spawned yet. Because I don't think I've surveyed one of every subtype, so, and I know I have the vent chain, so it must be something along the lines of, or no, but then the thing asks you to survey a certain number of habitable worlds, but it doesn't say of each type, does it? Let me check.
No, I just want you to do 8, I think.
Yeah, I think it's just 8 worlds of any type. So yeah.
I guess I've gotten unlucky.
It's probably just a mean time to happen. You might get it later, but keep surveying. And I like prioritizing the habitable worlds anyways, because you can get sometimes anomalies on them that are only available for habitable worlds.
Yep. Oh. I need more unity. Is there any way I can get a lump sum of unity? Ah. Nope. Can't do that yet. Artifact analysis. I don't think... Is that ever worth doing?
Yeah.
Like once you got a Grand Archive?
Oh no, it's worth doing earlier. So here's a little trick. You can use specimens as collateral. And what I mean by this is you can pick an empire, won't work with fallen empires, but you can pick a normal empire that you want to trade with. And you can sell them a specimen, an artifact that you got from artifact analysis, for a flat amount of resources, right?
Yeah.
And then you can do long-term trade deals that you want to do. And the problem with those is sometimes they default on those, but you can make part of the, like, what they give you, giving the specimen back. So the trade deal is balanced so that the actual resources that change hands, you're giving relatively more than if you hadn't done the specimen, like relatively more relative to what you're receiving. And so if they end up defaulting on the deal, you'll come out ahead. So it's like insurance against these defaults to help buffer you against the economic shocks that can be created if suddenly you don't have a bunch of resources you were counting on. So that you win if they keep the deal going, and you win if they default on it. Either way, you come out ahead. It's canny, clever, use of the game mechanics as they currently stand. And too often, it takes, maybe some people would say it's taking advantage of the fact that the AI is dumb, and too often will default on its deals. But, I mean, if they default on their deals, then it becomes, too risky to actually, you can't trust the AI to not run their economy into the ground. They do it way too often. So. Oh yeah, like, they still haven't fixed that, even though you get people, like, saying, oh, it's a little better now. The AI is now better about spamming military ships, yes. But not running out of resources if you do any kind of long-term trade deals. And I think the devs made it worse because they made the AI stop considering the resources they got in the long-term deals just because people were intentionally defaulting on deals to throw the AI's economy into chaos right before they attacked them in a war or something.
Yeah.
It's like there's no way you can do trades where people can't take advantage of it. And that's realistic because in the real world, people take advantage of people in like trade deals. That happens all the time. That's why there's a measure of trust. What it probably should be is that there's some kind of trade reputation, and they won't trade with you if you have a history of defaulting on your deals or something.
Yeah.
That slowly decays, like, so it doesn't screw you the whole game, but it takes a while for them to be willing to trust you again if you previously defaulted. That would be the smart thing. Instead, we get this nonsense system, and you get people complain if the AI builds their economy around the long-term deals you sign with them, and you get people complain if it doesn't. Either way, trade is going to screw with the AI.
Yeah.
Humans generally won't rely on each other because they figure they're going to screw each other in like competitive multiplayer games. But that's honestly a problem with competitive 4Xs. This is a game where you're in a galaxy. Like, you're not some mythical being. You're supposed to be like, leader of an empire or something. Sometimes you aren't, but it comes the question of what a 4X game, what you really are. Are you like the spirit of your nation? But the point is, people don't roleplay, and so they will just backstab and be really disreputable and be hyper aggressive. And if they see any chance of like conquering empire, no matter how many bodies they have to do it at, they're never held back by the, oh, this would cost too many lives thought, because these aren't. Oh, I just finished clearing a blocker, I think. Or maybe I did it earlier and didn't notice. Shoot, give me a sec. Math. That doesn't. Yeah, I don't want to do this now. City district. Or, this is a little. What am I saying? I don't get logistics growth. I'm robots. I can just queue this up now. spamming cities because cities produce industrial waste, and industrial waste I use to build new robots. Which is just cheeky as all heck.
Industrial waste?
Hyperlubrication terminals. The hyperlubrication terminals Civic gives higher pop growth the more city districts and the more industrial specializations. You know, it's a relic from when industrial and city districts used to be different types. Now cities count, and cities with industrial specializations count double or triple, depending on how specialized they are into industry. But the basic idea is that industrial waste and like urban city waste is used to lubricate your robots instead of going to waste. Although, why that would allow a faster total rate of population growth instead of just maybe a reduced cost to do it, I don't know. Honestly, the fact that you can, it's kind of stupid the baseline rates of robot construction for any empire. You should be able to build hundreds of robots a month in this system where that's like 1 or 2 pops. Robot assembly is unrealistically slow. Because, you know, if in our own universe we ever get to the point of having robots that can do the kind of things these game robots can do, like, we're absolutely gonna, like, fill all available jobs with them within, like, 2 years. It's not gonna take 300 years to, replace all the humans with robotic workers. Try 2 or 3.
Yeah, it is weird how slow robotic growth is.
It's because they wanted to stick with stupid traditional 4x balance in this game instead of...
Yeah.
It's a sci-fi game and it doesn't make sense. That robotic... Of course, this would have made biological pops basically obsolete as soon as you got robots, because...
That's true.
It would have made a lot of the game the rush to build robots. I think the ability to do automation helps a little with that, and it does allow you to expand your effective labor force quicker. But, like the automation buildings, but the upkeep on that is too expensive, and they should have made it cost less energy. It's barely worth automating. Most of the time, you can profit, but not that much. Until you have lots of boosters to work or output, and specialist jobs aren't worth automating at all for quite a long time. Unless it's like a planet where you are mostly rural districts and you have like one city with a bunch of buildings to add jobs. Because the upkeep on an automation building is per district, but buildings can add jobs that will still have a quarter of their jobs automated. So, like, even though a city that can at most add 200 jobs and thus at most have 50 automated is not worth automating. 8 energy for 50 jobs, not worth it. However, 8 energy for 125 jobs, which is, easily attainable with a bunch of, like, buildings to add jobs on your city district if you're a mostly rural world, that's worth it. So,
makes sense.
Until you get so many multipliers to technician output. Sorry, what you're saying?
That makes sense.
Individualist machine empires, though, actually, or any machine empires, gestalts as well, have higher base technician output, so automation becomes worthwhile much sooner, because it takes less labor to produce the energy. And that means it's worth it for me to automate city districts as soon as I get enough added multipliers to technician output that I produce double the base. That's the point at which it breaks even, which I'm already up to 55%. And I only have powered exoskeletons. This is the only actual tech that boosts on my capital. Of course, that's in the capital, where I don't necessarily want to run technicians. Better to work specialists in your capital, so maybe... But point is the crossover point comes a lot sooner for machine empires than anyone else. But you should definitely automate worker jobs relatively soon. If you do the district specializations that add 100 jobs, then that's 75 jobs automated per district. It's not hard
to use specialists in your capital.
I should explain. It's, well, two reasons. Because of the Empire Capital designation, which gives plus 10% to resource output. Which is usually better to like buff the output. Some jobs don't have like any buffs to output available, really.
Oh, I see.
Like research jobs, they don't really get added multipliers anymore. They just get increased base output from certain buildings. And job efficiency. So in terms of the cost effectiveness of job upkeep versus like research jobs, and although the forge and factory worlds can eventually later game when minerals become very expensive and you've done planetary ascensions a few times on them, then those designations can become pretty good because you can get alloys and consumer goods with like much lower mineral inputs. But earlier game, there's an argument to be made, especially, and you do get some techs that buff those outputs. But earlier game, if you're running militarized economy, you probably want to make consumer goods in your capital to offset the debuff to consumer good output under militarized economy. So, like early game, it's artisans and researchers in your capital. Those are the best things to run there. Especially because researchers have consumer goods upkeep. And I'm sure you've seen the planetary deficit thing and how that drains your trade.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's a high-level anomaly that adds a uni deposit to a world. So if a world consumes more resource than it produces locally, you pay a cost in trade to like effectively import the resources. Make it even more valuable to produce those resources there than some other planet that already produces more than it consumes. Like that's actually an incentive for me to build another generator district to my capital because I'm already running an energy deficit and my empire needs more energy. So before too long I'll actually have to build a fourth. Anyways,
once you get something like an ecumenopolis, though, you kind of just have no choice but to make up for the trade deficit, right?
Yeah, ecumenopolises are not going to be able to produce their food locally unless you go insanely deep into the food output repeatables and like build hydroponics labs and all the build slots.
Right.
And have a relatively underpopulated ecumenopolis.
Yeah.
So you could avoid something like the fate of the First League where they get cut off from their food and their capital starves. You can theoretically produce enough food through hydroponics to feed a sizable population locally without importing it, but not enough for a fully populated ecumenopolis.
Yeah.
Like you're always going to have to probably always going to have to import some of the food it uses, even if you produce some locally. Which fits with ecumenopolises are really something that comes from the Foundation series. That's kind of the archetypical sci-fi novel that has them, right? I think it was the first, one of the first ones to have a city planet, and in it, like, I'm ruining the story if I explain exactly what happens to their capital, but it is a city planet, and they actually do produce some food locally in these giant algae vats. And like, I guess they could grow probably like seaweed or something too. They produce like some like microbial, like engineered microbes that produce like more vitamins and minerals. So some of the food that the plant consumes is produced locally, but they do import a lot of food as well.
Yeah.
Although that's probably unrealistic. If you had a city planet, you wouldn't want to import lots of food because people eat food and produce carbon dioxide, and you would just have the planet, the entire atmosphere would eventually become unbreathable unless you scrubbed the carbon. If you scrubbed the carbon, then you would have to go and like export the carbon back. It would probably be cheaper just to grow your food locally than to like have to either export massive amounts of sewage or massive amounts of like pyrolyzed, like even if it's just graphite you're exporting, that'd be probably the cheapest export. To bring food in and graphite out it seems like it would just be easier to just produce the food locally and have
Yeah.
essentially a closed loop life support system, which is what Earth is, obviously. Everything you eat was grown on Earth. And that's why that's why organisms breathing out doesn't cause the atmosphere to like turn into nothing but CO2. And that's why burning coal causes rises in CO2, because that's carbon that hasn't been part of the biosphere for a very long time. And if we burn it all, we will eventually make the atmosphere unbreathable. And I don't mean just like the planet will get hotter. I mean it'll reach human beings. Have you ever wondered why you breathe at the rate you do?
Not really.
It's because of the level of CO2 in your blood, which is heavily influenced by the partial pressures of CO2 in the atmosphere. Even a modest rise in that CO2 level will eventually make it so that you hyperventilate. Well, you won't suffocate. You'll actually breathe faster, but you'll eventually hyperventilate to the point that it screws up your blood acidity levels and you will die.